I'm Kim Jones, the Executive Director of the Nonprofit Village. We're happy to again partner with our friends at Digital Industry to bring you this Tech Toolkit session on cybersecurity tactics for small businesses, particularly nonprofits. According to the University of Maryland, there's a cyber attack every 39 seconds, but with some basic precautions, you can prevent about 80% of those attacks. It begins with understanding what's at risk, patching your software, password management, and most importantly, utilizing email best practices. Before we begin, I want to thank the Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation. We bring these videos to you in partnership with MCEDC, a valuable business resource in the community. I also want to thank the sponsors that have made these programs possible. Thank you to Montgomery County Government, the Greater Washington Community Foundation, and Comcast. And now I'll turn it over to Mark Mazzaros, CEO of Digital Industry, to walk you through the top ways bad actors try to hack your accounts and the cybersecurity techniques you'll use immediately.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction. I really appreciate having the opportunity to be here and to speak to everyone. Let me first start off by introducing myself. My name is Mark Mazzaros, and for the last 22 years, I've been the CEO and VCIO of Digital Industry. Digital Industry is an outsourced IT services firm. We act as a complete outsourced IT department for many of our clients and also provide consulting and ongoing services on various disciplines such as cybersecurity and compliance management. As a company that manages thousands of corporate email accounts, I'm here to talk to you about email security best practices and how cybercriminals sneak into your inbox. From an IT operational level, companies should use all the best practices and tools to try and block hostile inbound email, which includes multifaceted email pre-filtering, antivirus, and more. But this alone does not get the job done. It must also include ongoing education for the users. The goal with this presentation is to arm users with good practices on how to evaluate whether an email message is legitimate. Having a savvy user base is one of the most effective ways to try to protect yourself and your company. Cybercriminals love email. Email has been and remains one of the riskiest business tools individuals and companies use on a daily basis. It is an effective method for cybercriminals to penetrate our personal lives and our corporate network. 94% of malware is delivered through email. It has happened that a corporate network was compromised by a single unfortunate click of content within an email. Email can be used to deliver numerous attack methods within a wrapper of legitimacy, which is designed to lower our guard and to solicit action. The goal of these messages is usually to collect personal information, which will ultimately allow the cybercriminal to take access to reach bank accounts or find other ways to cause damage or even extort money. To help illustrate the risk, I've selected an example of a network compromise that Digital Industry investigated. This is an example situation of a small local business with approximately 25 persons on staff. Digital Industry was contacted as the client was suffering email delivery issues. After performing an over-the-phone interview with the company's IT manager, DI staff put together a network down response team and launched the discovery process. As we worked our way through the client's IT system and established an understanding of the environment, we came to the conclusion that, in fact, the company did not just have an email performance problem, but that they had been compromised. Specifically, there was a strong indication that the attack method was via email, which is why the service was not functioning properly. The goal of the attacker was to compromise PCs so that these cybercriminals could get access to the company bank accounts. The attackers employed a tactic to fill the inbox of the targets by subscribing the users to legitimate news sources, advertising, and coupon sites. A percentage of this type of email can often make it past spam filtering. The goal was to clog up the user's inboxes. The attacker then slipped legitimate-looking fake messages in between the tsunami of messages arriving, hoping that the email overload would help to contribute to a hurried and flawed decision-making process. Ultimately, they were successful with that goal. So what is a fake or phishing email? What are we talking about is an email forgery of a legitimate email designed to make the message appear to come from someone other than the actual source. The goal of the cyber criminal in sending the message is to quickly establish trust and entice the recipient to act. Examples might be an email that looks like a message from the IRS that demands immediate payment to avoid fines, or an email from Microsoft requesting that you immediately change your password or lose access to your account. Further common examples are messages from the business owner or boss demanding action, such as payment of a vendor invoice. Please be aware that just opening of an email is not going to, under most circumstances, cause a problem, as it usually takes at least one more step. This is why attackers often include email attachments and embedded links. They use these to solicit the further action required to set the hook. What do these attachments or links do? Well, they try to exploit weaknesses in the computer security or trick the user into unknowingly giving up personal information such as usernames, passwords, credit card numbers, and other items. So how does one identify fake email? I've chosen two examples to help illustrate an analysis techniques that help identify red flags with emails which may indicate that they are fake. So let's learn to identify by analysis. Step 1, is it an internal or external email? While both internal and external emails need to be analyzed, internal emails are far likelier to be safe than external internet emails. Does your email system support you by giving you a clear indication of internal versus external? If so, great. But if not, then focus on the sender. Note the name of the sender is important, but key is the email address. Does the email address of the sender make sense? Does the sender domain match the stated email sender? Usually an email address is made up of the name of the sender and the domain of the sending company or the system provider, such as at Microsoft.com, in our case, at digitalindustry.com, or at Cornell.edu. When you receive an email message from someone at Cornell, then you probably will receive an email with an address that says something like the name of the individual at Cornell.edu. If you don't see this, it's not an absolute that it's a fake message, but it is a red flag. This should prompt you to take a deeper look and certainly not open attachments or click on any included links. Step 2. Well, are you expecting the email? If you're expecting the email, then there's an increased likelihood that it's safe. But if the email is unexpected or unsolicited, immediately give it a red flag for further investigation. Step 3, does the email visually look like one you'd expect from this sender? Is it consistent with past messages? What to look for? Are logos in the wrong location or the wrong colors? Not all fake emails are well done. Sometimes they're just sloppy, and we can easily identify that they just don't look right. In other cases, they've done a really good job copying an official email, such as one that might have come from a bank, Citibank, Microsoft. And so by appearance alone, we will not get the job done. But if you do feel it's visually off, give it a red flag. Step 4. Next, look for further inconsistencies in the email. Grammatical errors, errors that you wouldn't expect from this sender. If the spelling and the grammar are off, that's definitely another red flag. Step 5. If the sender is asking you to take urgent action, and the email includes a button, a clickable link, or is asking you to quickly send money, always pause and investigate. Take the time to examine the destination of which the link is trying to drive you to. Usually you can do this by floating your mouse over the link without clicking. Does the link location look legitimate? Does it match the domain of the sender? Anytime you find one of these 5 steps indicates a red flag, and you're not 100% sure of the legitimacy of the message, don't take further action, rather investigate. So what to do now? Well, if the sender is someone you know, contact them. Ask if they sent the message. If you think it could be legitimate because it's a vendor, a bank, or somebody with whom you have a relationship, well, then don't click the link in the email. Just leave the email behind, minimize or close it. Open a web browser, Chrome, Firefox, or whatever you like to use, and go straight to the website of the site you're trying to investigate. In other words, if you received an email that purportedly has come from Citibank, but you're not 100% certain, then just go to a web browser and type in www.citibank.com and go directly there on your own. That way, you'll know you've reached the correct Citibank website. Now you may ask yourself, why go to the website directly outside of the email? It'd be so much easier just to click the link. Save yourself the work of analysis. It's a question of simplicity. If you click on the link within the email, you could be fooled by being directed to an online photocopy of the Citibank website. But if you type in the address directly into Chrome, Firefox, again, your favorite browser, well, then you can't be so easily misdirected. So let's apply the 5 steps to an example. I've included this second example to help illustrate the challenge of identifying legitimate messages from fake. Let's go through the process of reviewing this email. 1, is it internal or external? Well, this email looks to be external as it came from Microsoft. When we look at the email address of the sender, we see that it isn't my colleague James's work email address. What we do see is that this is from Microsoft's SharePointOnline.com address. From past experience, I know this is a legitimate address belonging to Microsoft's system for the purpose of sending file links from the Microsoft 365 SharePoint system. Further, I also see there's other parties who are included in the email: Camilla, another colleague, and a CC to James himself. These are green flags, as this makes sense to me contextually. I know the 3 of us are working on this file collaboratively. Number 2, expected or unexpected? Well, this email was expected. I am working on this with James and Camilla. Number 3, content errors. Does it visually look like I expect? Is it familiar? Yes. This message does look like what I'd expect when receiving a link from our Microsoft 365 SharePoint system. Number 4, grammar. I don't see any grammar or typographical errors that look suspicious. Number 5, action. There's no urgent action being requested. When I float my mouse over the link that is in the message, it does come back to pointing to the Microsoft 365 SharePoint system online. Well, my determination is that this message looks like I can trust it. But rather than click on the link in the message, I still choose to close it, open a browser, and go directly to our SharePoint system outside of the email message, and then just look for the file rather than clicking the link. So let's review our email best practices. Identify if an email is internal versus external. Analyze unexpected mails. Check the mail visually. Trust your instincts and be skeptical. Look for inconsistencies. Never click on a rushed or urgent request. Further, never transfer money or give out private information without verification. Practice your identification skills and be vigilant. While we cannot make absolute statements such as following these steps guarantees you'll never have a problem, we can say you'll be much safer for being an informed and knowledgeable email user. Practice what you've learned, and thank you for watching.